I want to talk about your ailment and how that affected you.
Yes. All right. So pretty much my condition, all right, is myasthenia gravis. A lot of people never really heard of that, but they've heard of MS. Right. So you could relate it to MS. It's in the same category of an autoimmune disease.
Right.
And it's deathly. It almost took my life. When I was 31, I was on I had thoughts in my head like, am I going to live through this year? Right. And it's crazy. You know, all those stories we were talking about earlier about that crazy life I had. It's really just because I survived that situation, had a ton of money, and just lived my bucket list. Like my bucket list. There was nothing stopping me from going out and doing what I wanted to do. I traveled all over the world. I think I've been to Aruba 4 times in 1 year.
That's fire.
Like I have more friends there than I probably have here. And it's just, and then like, I remember like Vivint gave me a $2,000 company office card because I was running the office. And I hope they're not listening to this podcast, but like I just spent that in Aruba on like clubs and stuff. And they finally came to the end and they were like, yeah, we're shutting this office down. I was like, why? You know, everything's working so good. They're like, we're looking at your expense report. Like
we can see what you're spending money on.
Like you haven't even been to the office training people. So that just wasn't good timing. But so, yeah, so I live every single day with this condition. It constantly reminds me that I have it. It doesn't go away.
Right.
I'm like kind of like Iron Man, you know, he has that thing in his chest.
Yeah.
And he has to wear that or else he decays.
Yeah.
I have to take special medication every day or I decay, become a paraplegic. And that's how my day starts.
And you also have a rigorous workout schedule that you need to keep to, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
You know, like a man in space, like the second they leave Earth's gravity, they start decaying, right? So the same thing with me. My body's constantly being attacked. My muscles are constantly being attacked. So if I don't just combat that and keep them strong, I get weaker. And it's easier for it to take me than it is when I have a stronger body.
When were you diagnosed with this?
So when I was 30. And
was it growing over time? Did you how do you get MS? How does that happen?
So didn't know then, still don't know, but technology and this has come a long way. So they're learning that it's coming more from viruses. Just like everybody got COVID, a lot more people are starting to develop autoimmunes. There's actually, from my understanding, 2 ways you can have it. One would be from inflammatory responses in your body. And that's how most people get pretty much a rheumatoid arthritis, like all these weird inflammatory responses. And it's really just the way you eat. So that's one way you could do it. And that's a very easy way to cure it if you have it from leaky gut syndrome, right? And that's what's happening. Like you're eating bad food, it's leaking through your gut, and then all of a sudden your immune system starts overreacting. Just like when you scratch your hand and that red mark comes, that's your immune system coming there.
You're all inflamed.
So if you start doing all these weird things to your body, drugs, or your immune system freaks out, and that's the way it freaks out. It could turn into MS. It can turn into the stomach one, and it could turn into all these different types of weird problems, headaches, all these things. Now, the other way is the way I got it, which is lifelong. That one's very curable. But this one would be more like a virus came into your body, right? And that virus mimicked it, like mutated. And when it mutated, it mimicked your blood cells, something in your body. My condition, it mimicked my muscle receptors. And just like your body develops an autoimmune response so that if you ever get a virus again, it could eliminate that virus. So that virus mimicked my muscle receptors, and the rest of my life, my own body thinks my muscle receptors are a foreign agent.
That's crazy. I actually get that. It's like helper T cells.
Yep,
Like
exactly.
when something attacks your body, it makes the helper T cells so that it knows whenever it sees that, it attacks it.
Exactly. So there's no cure. So
That's
it's a lifelong
wild,
thing.
bro. And you've tried everything, I assume.
The only thing really I can do is I get 1,000 different people's immune systems infused into my body once a month. It's called IVIG treatment. And that treatment, I get an in-home nurse once a month, 2 days, right? And I get that it's kind of like dialysis.
Wow.
Yep. And I'm usually home doing Zoom calls when this is happening. And then for 1 month straight, plus prednisone, which is a steroid that eliminates your immune system. So for 1 month straight, I get like this just dose of, a plasma from all these people. And it tricks my body into thinking I have somebody else's immune system.
Wow. So it won't, because it knows yours.
What?
That's wild,
Bro,
bro.
I never knew you got it like that.
Yeah, it's bad. Now you understand like why I can't hire and fire people and train all the time. Like I kind of do it on the side little, but like just stress is the number one factor.
Yeah.
It flared back up this year because one, started a construction company, two, bought property, taxes are due, and I took off for 2 months because I got married and didn't work, and boom, stress just out of nowhere.
Smart.
And then,
He didn't mention got married as part of his stresses. Smart guy.
no, that was actually the stress relief of all. That was very pleasant.
Yeah,
But
it looked like a beautiful wedding, bro.
Thank you. And so like just all of that just came right back like a bomb.
That's crazy that just because you're stressed, it overreacts that much.
Yeah.
The
Like,
body
just an
is
emotion,
incredible,
yeah.
bro. I want to talk about how you have, instead of taking that autoimmune disease and letting it destroy you, how you mentally overcame that so that you could be where you're at today.
No, that's great. So, a lot of this came from like, there was a time when I told you I was almost dying, right?
31 years old.
Yeah. And it was a crazy time. Like, so I had full benefits from the company I was working at. There's a reason why I chose that company to be in Solar Trinity. They're giving me full benefits. And then this condition started to happen, and those benefits were based off of performance. I had to keep my performance up to be able to get those benefits. Then what happened is I started getting sick. All of my guys started leaving to other companies. I had no office anymore. They were all like, this is not working out. They're going to go to other companies. So I lost my health benefits. They cut my salary down from $50,000 a year to $20,000 a year to $10,000 a year. So I lost my health insurance. In that time, I was waiting to see the head of the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation, right? It took 3 months to see this dude. All these other neurological medical offices were killing me. They didn't know how to treat it.
Yeah.
So in that time, I was dying. And when I finally met the head of the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation, I was on my last leg. I was already having thoughts in my head that this is it. When I saw that guy, he was like, you have 2 weeks to live. My brother from Hawaii moved back.
Holy shit.
He's like, there's nothing we can even do. He's like, it takes a month for this medication to kick in. And he's like, it also makes you weaker while it's kicking in because prednisone makes you weaker at first. So you're going to get weaker first than you already are. I couldn't even, you had to spoon feed me and I couldn't even swallow the soup. I couldn't hold my head up in the chair. I was like a bobblehead. And so my brother, it was an amazing story, dude. It really is. So like in that time when you are almost dying and you're going to die, I have a son, the things that went through my head, and most goes through my head, you don't have bills to pay anymore. Like, you're going to die. You're like, I don't care about all this stuff. You really just care if you have enough willpower about living. So I had just an insane amount of willpower to just live. I didn't want to go. And it's weird, like, because that can happen, to anybody. So, that was going through my mind. And then the craziest thing happened. The prednisone medication kicked in. I started coming back slowly, just like getting my normal self back. I didn't need all my strength. I just needed enough to be able to, have general motor skills. So then in that time, that is when another company came in and they're like, just because of my reputation in solar, they're like, we want you to run our 2 New York offices. Gave me a $50,000 sign-on bonus. Here's Poughkeepsie office. Here's the Albany office. All yours. Hire a team. In that time, because I was just still in this mindset of just wanting to live and be the best that I can, I hired the most amount. I hired 30 people in 2 months. And those 30 people were the top sales reps of new hires for the company, for Vivint. And from there, I realized I wasn't going to die. And that's when I told you I lived my bucket list.
Yeah.
I didn't actually take that seriously. I should have.
Yeah.
That company is now Sunrun. It was Vivint. So I should have. And then I just lived my bucket list. And I lived in that year an amazing life anybody could possibly live. Shouldn't have, but I did.
I don't know. I think you should have.
Yeah, you should have. And then at the end of that, I realized I'm not dying.
Yeah.
I realized now I got to get my shit together. And that's when I started to, Andrew came in like a few years later. Like, that's when I really just started to grow and just be everything I can. And there's no turning back from that.
Right.
There really is. And then in that time is when I learned that emotions training. how to control your emotions. I was studying a lot in those years, you know, because you can be very depressed. You could be like, oh, my life sucks. Why me? You could point the finger at yourself and shame yourself all day long. In those years, I developed those skills, which I think everybody should technically have, even if you're not sick.
I think when you get real close to death
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, I think this is it, something flips in your mind and you go directly into survival mode. And I think once you hit that, you don't come back.